Welcome back to Tom Talks. It's been 3 months since we've had an edition. Absolute pleasure to have Fergal Gleeson, the head of our accounting and finance practice, with us today again. Thanks for joining us, Ferg.
Yeah, thanks, Richard.
I know you don't have much time, so I'm going to keep this really, really brief, but give us and hopefully get a bit of a snapshot from you of exactly what's happened, if there's anything new, trends emerging or anything like that. I know that you've been very, very busy on the senior side of the market with a couple of exec searches on. So I know you're keen to get back to your desk, so I'm not going to keep you very, very long. One of the things that's been reasonably apparent in the last 5 to 10 years is the whole concept of offshoring. So we spoke about last time the whole concept of automation. I suppose what preceded automation was offshoring. And given that concept is probably 5 to 10 years deep, depending on the employer, do you think there are any risks that are emerging from those decisions that are based 5 to 10 years ago, and can you comment on that going forward?
Yeah, I think the trend towards centralization, if I can answer it that way, is still very apparent with through automation, through picking up functions and putting them into shared services. That's still happening right across the client base. But offshoring is definitely it's something that Australian businesses probably aren't doing much more of. They probably have offshored as much as they would want to. Some of the larger banks are looking at robotics as a way to bring back processes and functions onshore. So I think the centralizing trend of finance to do things more efficiently, more cheaply, to use automation, that's going to continue to be a trend over the next few years, which is what drove offshoring. But yeah, in finance, I don't particularly see more positions going offshore.
Okay. What about then risks associated? So if we just think about, I run a large finance function. I'm looking at talent pipeline and bringing obviously juniors or newly qualified accountants into the fold. If those functions that they would normally have performed no longer exist onshore or have been replaced, that more that control or processing piece, where do they start? What is the career path?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of people who thought a bit more long-term about offshoring recognized that was going to be an issue. If everything went offshore, where are you going to get your middle managers of the future? Thankfully, that hasn't come to pass, I suppose, because some Australian businesses chose not to, like CBA, very publicly put on record that they weren't going to offshore their positions. A lot of medium-sized and small Australian businesses, it just wasn't a practical or scalable sort of solution for them, so they never did so. So that sort of gap that people thought might emerge a few years ago probably hasn't come to pass, because offshoring wasn't embraced to quite the extent that maybe the doomsdayers predicted.
Right, okay, great. Then another, I suppose, significant highlight of our last chat was sub the 150k space, candidates that are earning that kind of money. That seemed like a prolific area. It was very, very buoyant. Has that continued to be the case?
Yes, it has. So I think we sort of had a warning for our clients to look after your star performers at that level, because it's the hottest part of the market. That continues to be the case. The sort of quality level of candidates that clients are looking for, it's still in very short supply. What effectively is happening is banks are trying to pinch each other's grads as they're coming off the grad programs. As you can see, there's a very finite capacity of people there. So what we're probably trying to encourage our clients to think about is hire more on capability rather than has the person done this exact role before. But I think because finance teams are running pretty lean, they want people to hit the ground running, and they want people with all the experience. The one crumb of comfort is it is getting cold in the Northern Hemisphere, and so we're seeing an influx of Australians. Maybe they've done one winter already in London, they don't want to do another one. So there is actually a better supply now of returning Australians from the UK with some pretty good experience.
Oh, that's good news there as well. Then, given this demand has been sort of effervescent, if that's not too strong a word, has salaries moved much? And could you give us a bit of a breakdown if we assume from the newly qual maybe to that manager, senior manager, and if we could just chunk it down into salary bands, has there been any significant movement there, or is it pretty much the same? And give us an idea of what that is.
Yeah, I suppose from a candidate's perspective, they'd probably be disappointed to see that the salaries haven't really dialed up at all. I think banks are really trying to keep a pretty tight lid on costs and keep people within bands. So largely manager roles are probably landing at around 130 inclusive of super. Sort of the senior analyst roles probably around 110 inclusive of super, but yeah, they really haven't moved significantly in the last couple of years. So I guess the banks are relying on the power of their brands, on the career potential, I think charisma of the hiring managers, and also the culture of how they develop their careers. So they're the factors, and sometimes that's enough. Sometimes obviously people are very money focused. They may need to go elsewhere.
Gotcha. Okay. Last question, Ferg, before I let you go. Again, last time we spoke about wealth, retail banking, and also due to some structural legislative change in insurance, those were kind of the hot sectors where there was a lot of demand, coupled with more from a skill set point of view, more of the business partnering side of things. Is that trend, still the case? Are you seeing any green shoots anywhere else with regards to pockets of demand?
Yeah, I think the overriding sort of trends there of partnering and management reporting, and that all feeds into the earlier conversation about simpler processing type things are being automated, and so there's simply less recruitment in that space. The one area that we have seen much more demand on in the last couple of months is in the area of accounting change, really technical accounting and advisory type work. These roles tend to go to the external market because I guess increasingly as hiring managers are becoming more and more commercially focused and trying to get closer to the business, those sort of accounting advisory skills, they simply lose them, and so they need to hire those skills externally. So we're currently running a number of assignments where the primary skill set is that kind of almost legal brain, where you can interpret regulatory or accounting legislation and give the business advice on what they need to do to get the best outcomes.
Great. Phil, I won't keep you anymore. It's been a terrific update. It's short and it's snappy from the doyen of finance and financial services. Really appreciate your time, mate. Thanks so much.
Richard. All the best.
That's it for now. Thanks to Fergal for his time. We'll see you next time on Tom Talks. Richard O'Flynn signing out. Thank you.